Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Assraf. I'm the CEO and founder of Flamingo. Flamingo is a company that is focused on the MSP, managed service provider industry. That's my second startup. And around 10 years ago, I started my first startup. And this startup was targeting MSPs at a certain point. And working with those MSPs, I learned a bunch about how MSPs work behind the scene, what are the main cost centers. What I could see is that MSPs spend most amount of the revenue on two things. The first thing is vendor payout. So MSPs would buy a bunch of commercial software, package it, and then resell it for the users. And then the second one is labor. It's people they need to deploy in order to provide either 9 to 5 or 24/7 support. Back in 21, when I was kind of more focused on the MSP side of our commercial traction of my previous company, I started to work more closely with MSPs, and what I could see is that there is a certain trend in the MSP industry that is being commonly overlooked. And this trend is MSPs adopting open source software in order to increase their profit margins instead of utilizing commercial ones. And this trend is something that I started to explore throughout my journey. And later on, it became the Flamingo concept of how we think about tooling. And today, Flamingo itself and the product that we have called OpenFrame is fully open source. But when my marketing team started to explore what commonly discussed topics are part of the MSP industry, we analyzed around 35 different podcasts, and we couldn't find even one that was highlighting the connection and the ecosystem of MSPs and open source. And that's exactly the purpose of OpenMSP podcast. We are here to kind of emphasize, educate, and assist MSPs with their journey if they want to adopt open source, or even if they're not ready yet and they would just want to educate themselves on what open source alternative exists. We have a community product called OpenMSP, which is a Slack community plus a vendor directory, which educationally, not commercial, not anything like that, just highlights and educate the industry about which open source tools exist as a replacement for commercial tools that cost a lot of money. And that's the purpose of this podcast. We're going to be interviewing MSPs, real MSPs, sharing the real experiences of adopting open source tools. And that's what the topic of this podcast. So if you want, tune in and listen to our podcast and learn about those MSPs and their journey in adoption of open source tooling. Thank you so much.